Start with the second set of adjustments, and that is going to be future stuff. So remember, I don't know if you remember, but we draw a line like this, okay? And let's say this is my financial year, right? Now let's say remember expenses and income, the accrued and future all work in the same principle if it's an income or an expense. So let's work with income. So let's say I haven't received all 12 months, I only received 11 months. Then that 1 month we will call accrued. Ne? I haven't received it yet, but I will receive it in the next financial year. And then what we do is we add it to what we already received so that we can show the full income, even though I have not received it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is we received more than 12 months. Let's say in this year we received 13 months. In other words, people paid me already for the next financial year. So in other words, if you look at this, from that 13, 12 is for this month, this year, but 1 is only applicable next year. Right? For instance, you have extra class with me, I charge you 100 Rand a month. So your mom got a bonus, so she paid me in full 1,300 Rand. But only 1,002 is for this year. The other 100 is for an extra class that still needs to happen. You get me? So can you see in this case, I'm going to subtract the extra one. Does that make sense to you? So I will always say, oh, it's going to fall down. I will always say, accrued plus future minus. Okay, we're all going to do this together. Accrued plus future minus. Okay, so let's have a look. If I look here, so they start with the expense. So when an expense is already paid for next year, we call it a prepaid. Okay. And things like insurance is always prepaid, because you can't be insured if you haven't paid your premium. Okay. So, prepaid expense is an asset. Why is it an asset? Oh, because I already paid for something. So when the time comes, that thing that I paid for, I don't have to pay again. Okay. So actually, you remember, we took accrued income was an easy one, because we said it's an income still receivable. But with a prepaid expense, we can say it's a service still receivable. In other words, your mom paid me 100 Rand for an extra class you still need to get. So it's something still receivable. So can you see, prepaid expense is also going to go with receivables. So in other words, if we think about receivables now, you know you're going to have your debtors control, your accrued income, and now also your prepaid expense. Everybody with me? Let's see how it works. So they tell me I have paid insurance 26,000 Rand. So my balance February 28 is going to be 26,000. Now once again, I want to split it into the part applicable for this year, that I used this year, and the part that I still didn't use. Can you see it's the same as consumable stores on hand? Consumable stores on hand, what did I do with the consumables? I divided it in the part I did use and the part I didn't use. Same is going to happen here. I'm going to divide it in the part I didn't use and the part I did use. Does that make sense? Let's quickly look. They say the insurance premium is 2,000 per month. So already I can see what is my profit and loss. How much am I supposed to use in a year? If it's 2,000 Rand a month, how many months? 12. Can you see my expense? What I used is only 24. So that means 2,000 I didn't use. And that 2,000 is going to be a prepaid expense. And that prepaid expense is an asset and it will go to receivables. Does this make sense? So now, when I go to the trial balance, I'm going to have a prepaid expense. Can you see it's on the debit side? And if you think about it, if I think dead and click, debit on the debit side. Okay, that prepaid expense is not an expense and it's not a drawing, so it's a asset, debit side. Insurance is going to be the 26 less the 2. How much did I actually use? 24. You guys get the concept? So what you do when you read an adjustment, you firstly ask yourself, am I working with an income or an expense? So let's do this one. Am I working with an income or an expense? Insurance is an expense. Do I still owe or did I pay too much? I paid too much, so it's a future thing. So it's a prepaid expense. Okay. Let's go to the income. So this is a very long word. Income received in advance, but it tells you exactly what it is. It's an income I received now, but I still need to give the person the service. Can you see the service is still payable? You understand? In other words, I pay my rent, but I received rent. You are renting from me. So I receive rent for 13 months. Can you see 12 months the guy already used. The other month he didn't use. So that makes it a liability because I'm in debt with him. It's like he overpaid me and I didn't give him the change. So I owe him the change. But instead of giving him the change, I give him the service. Does that make sense? Okay, so now let's see. They give us rent income has got a balance of 39. Can we stop talking and start listening? 39. Now, what do they say? Rent is 300 Rand per month. Now I know this balance of 39 I'm going to divide into what I used, which is going to go to profit and loss, and what I received in advance, meaning this guy paid me too much. I'm not going to give him the change. I'll give him the service next year. Okay, so how much is the rent? If I say 300 times 12, I see the rent is only 3,600 for this year, which means 300 is in advance. He paid me 1 month in advance. Can you see that? How do I know it's 1 month? There's another way I can do it. Look at this. Can you see the 3,900? They tell me, so if you look at this, they say it's 300 a month. So if I divide it by 300, you're going to see you're going to get 13. And that 13 tells you you receive 12 months plus 1 extra. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can do it. So now I know my rent is an income received in advance, which makes it a liability. Can you see it's on the credit side? Dead and click. So on the credit side, liabilities, it can only be a liability because it's a B account. It can't be an income. The income is the rent. The part of the rent that was received in advance is a liability for me. Okay. You guys fine?
Ma'am.
Yes.
So, ma'am, if the answer was to like B14 instead of 200.
Yes. Okay. So now, if I put it in the trial balance, I'll have, you can abbreviate like this: income received in advance, rent income, can you see? Future minus. When I say future minus, it means literally the income or the expense will become less for this year because a part of what I received is for next year. There's another word for income received in advance, and if you want to use that, you are welcome. It's called deferred income. It's shorter, but it's a name we don't really know.